Welcome to Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair.
Blair, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Yourself?
At the moment, I am doing fine, just fine. We're recording this episode during the second intermission of Game 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and Blair's team is doing much better than my team.
I'm nervous though, man.
I'm nervous as well.
Going.
This team is going to give me a heart attack, but lots of hockey left. But that's not what we're here to talk about. First of all, for all you mother figures in Canada and around the world, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
A day celebrated in Canada today, officially, but a day that should be celebrated year-round.
Yes.
This month, we're focusing on movies based around strong mother characters. And boy, do we have a classic to chat about today. Possibly one of the most iconic films in cinema history. But before we dive in, what do you say we chat a little bit about some horror news?
This is horror news.
Blair, you got some horror news this week?
I do. There's a new horror film called In a Violent Nature, and it debuted at the Chicago Critics Film Festival, and is apparently one of those movies that's so violent it caused one of the critics in the audience to vomit.
Excellent. Now that is the kind of reaction you want out of a movie.
Man, there's a trailer out for it. It's about a minute and a half, and I've seen it, and it looks like a lot of fun. It's a lot like Friday the 13th, kind of. It's
very cool.
In the woods,
slasher,
yeah. At a lake, traditional slashers. So that kind of looks like a lot of fun.
Excellent. I'm guessing since it is on that was at a film festival, correct?
That was at a film festival in Chicago, I think it said. Chicago.
Interesting. So I wonder if we'll be seeing a theatrical release on that one. I wonder if it has the distribution rights with anyone currently.
Limited theatrical May 31st, and then it's going to hit Shudder.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Shudder's got their hands all over that one. Cool.
Yeah, they do.
Cool.
Last piece of horror news I have here is 28 days later and 28 weeks later, finally have a third movie coming in the trilogy. In the summer of 2025, it'll be 28 years later.
Okay, cool name. I like that.
A pretty cool name. I think they were originally going to call it 23 months later, but I'm not too sure what changed.
I like the 28 years. Now, was there a cast announcement on that one as well?
No, not that I know of. I know it was going to be directed by Danny Boyle. That's all.
Wow. Okay.
Directed by Danny Boyle.
He's diving right back into the franchise.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes, sir.
Right on. Anything else for horror news this week?
That's it, bro.
Okay, I just have the one. It was announced by Netflix earlier last week that production of season 2 of the hit TV series or hit Netflix series Wednesday has finally begun. Tim Burton will return to direct. Obviously, we have much of the cast from season 1 returning, including Jenna Ortega, Luis Guzman, and Catherine Zeta-Jones. But we also have a familiar face to the franchise who will guest star in season 2, Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, really?
Will appear in season 2.
Lester, is it Lester? Is that who?
Fester. Yeah.
Fester.
Of course, played Fester, Uncle Fester in the Addams Family and the Addams Family Values. No word on who he might be playing. Of course, Fred Armisen of Documentary Now and SNL fame has played Uncle Fester in season 1. Mm-hmm. So interested to see who Christopher Lloyd will play in this one. But that's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
That's all I have for horror news. What do you say we jump into this week's episode? 1960s Psycho. Runtime on this one, 1 hour, 49 minutes. Blairski, initial thoughts on the runtime?
A little long.
Mm-hmm. A little long. It's kind of a weird one. I'm sure we'll get into it in likes and dislikes, but it's not necessarily long at the ending. There's maybe portions. I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know where you would cut pieces in this one, but it did kind of feel a little bit long. We'll get into it.
Not the ending. The ending is the best part of the movie.
Yeah. Before we get into that, though, let's chat a little bit about some fun facts.
Fun facts. Facts that are fun.
Blairski, you got some fun facts on Psycho?
Well, this film is loosely inspired by real life serial killer and grave robber Ed Gein.
Hmm.
Another fun fact is for those of you who have not been to Universal Studios Hollywood, this is the set in this movie is part of the backlot ride, which is the best part of Universal Studios Hollywood.
I love it. I recently, or I learned, sorry to butt in, but
No worries.
the house is the original.
Mm-hmm.
The motel is a replica.
Okay.
And that's not the original location it was filmed on. The house has been moved, but it is the original house.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which is pretty fantastic.
It is pretty awesome.
The way they have it set up at Universal is sublime.
It is, and they always have Norman Bates standing outside of the hotel, running at the tram. It's great. It's great.
So good. So good.
Another fun fact: Paramount, for whatever reason, did not want Hitchcock to make this film, and would not provide the funding to do so. In response, Hitchcock financed the film himself and filming it obviously in the Universal Studios backlot, and choosing to film in black and white to save on costs. Because the budget, I think, for this was $807,000, and they made like 50 million on this movie.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have written there just to add on top. I guess Hitchcock had like a standard fee of $250,000 for his salary, which he deferred in lieu of 60% of the movie's gross.
Good decision.
And they did so well that in 1960, I believe he made $15 million, which I wrote down here, adjusted to inflation is about $130 million he pocketed.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Very good decision.
Yeah. Anything else on this one?
That's all I got, man.
I've got a couple here. Alfred Hitchcock withheld the ending of the script from the cast until he needed to shoot it. I love that.
Yeah, I read that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. He was so happy with the score, and we'll talk about that in likes and dislikes, that he doubled Bernard Herrmann's salary. He originally wanted no music in the shower scene, but his wife persuaded him to add something. And that's when Bernard Herrmann came up with that iconic score. I love this. Hitchcock received a letter from a father whose daughter refused to bathe after seeing 1955's Diabolic, and then refused to shower after seeing Psycho. So Hitchcock, in response, wrote the father a letter back telling him to send her to the dry cleaners. Oh, so good. I've got a couple more.
Funny.
Hitchcock is known for his cameos in the movie. In all of his movies, he decided to put his cameo as early as possible so that fans wouldn't be distracted looking for him throughout the film. So that's pretty neat.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah, he's standing right outside of Marion's work when she walks in for the first time within the first, 5 minutes of the movie, and he's standing right outside the window.
Okay. Fuck.
Yeah,
I missed that one.
Two more here. The official trailer for the movie was almost 7 minutes long.
Fuck.
Bosco, also George Costanza's ATM code in Seinfeld, brand chocolate syrup was used as blood in the infamous shower scene.
Okay.
And then finally, a little personal fun fact. I had the movie poster hanging in my bedroom growing up.
Hell yeah, you did. Hell yeah, you did.
Okay, let's talk about the fine folks who worked on this movie, because there's a lot of them.
Yep.
So obviously directed by the legendary Sir Alfred Hitchcock, aka the master of suspense. I believe he once commented that actors are like cattle, or it's like it's working with cattle or something like that. He wasn't a fan of actors. But of course directed such classics as The Birds, North by Northwest, Vertigo, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Rear Window, Dial M for Murder, and 39 Steps, just to name a few. This one, written by Joseph Stefano, also wrote 12 episodes of The Outer Limit, 1 episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Psycho 4, The Beginning, 5 episodes of the 1990 television show Swamp Thing, and 1998's Psycho. Also written by Robert Bloch. Also wrote 1971's The House That Dripped Blood. Great title.
Yeah, it is.
1966, The Psychopath. And of course, the novel this movie was based on. Starring Anthony Perkins. Oh, wonderful performance as Norman Bates. Also starred in Psycho 2, 3, and 4. 1974's Murder on the Orient Express. 1962's The Trial, and 1979's The Black Hole. Janet Leigh as Marion Crane, nominated for Best Actress in a Supporting Role for Psycho. Also starred in 1962's The Manchurian Candidate, 1958's Touch of Evil, 1980's The Fog, 1963's Bye Bye Birdie, and as Norma in Halloween H2O, of course, the mother of one of our favorites, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, sir.
Vera Miles as Lila Crane, also starred in Psycho 2, 1962's The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 1956's The Searchers, and 1956's The Wrong Man. Some pretty big Western movies in there.
Yeah.
There's 2 John Wayne movies in there. Also starring John Gavin as Sam Loomis, starred in 1960's Spartacus, Stanley Kubrick, and 1959's Imitation of Life. I also wrote down here, I believe every cast member in this movie either guest starred on Murder, She Wrote, Columbo, or The Love Boat. So there you go.
There you go.
Synopsis for 1960s Psycho, courtesy of our dear friends at IMDb. A Phoenix secretary embezzles $40,000 from her employer's client, goes on the run, and checks into a remote motel run by a young man under the domination of his mother. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. It gives very little away, which is exactly what Hitchcock would have wanted.
Yeah.
Don't tell him anything.
He wanted people there from the very beginning to the very end.
Exactly. No late admittance.
No.
You had to be there on time.
Yeah.
If you were sneaking in, you would be reprimanded. Okay. This leads us to one of our favorite segments, Kill Count.
Kill count. The time of the show we count the kills.
Blairski, we got a kill count for Psycho?
We got a kill count. We got 2 kills and 2 of the best kills in
Excellent.
cinema.
Yeah. Iconic.
Yeah.
This is a perfect lead-in to one of our favorite segments, likes and dislikes.
Likes, dislikes, likes, dislikes,
and everything in between. The portion of the show where we chat about what we liked, what we didn't like, and everything in between. Blairski, the one word that I've already mentioned a couple times, the one word that I keep coming back to when I think of Psycho is iconic.
Yes, sir. Especially the shower scene.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
First of all, the everything in this movie, everything that's great about this movie comes together for this one scene, the shower scene. We have the music, we have the excellent cinematography, we have the brilliant acting. This scene is perfect.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's so good. It's so good. What did you think about the music in this one? I want to touch on the music because it's mind-blowing how good the music leads this movie along.
It's actually my first note in my likes because it's the first thing I noticed right from the very beginning of the movie was the music in the intro.
Yeah.
Like the intro music was absolutely amazing. And then obviously the music throughout, but the music in the shower scene as well. So good.
It's just, you can't think of that scene without hearing the, like it's just,
it's a violin, I believe. Violin.
Yeah, it's a whole string quartet. It's just strings. It's
wild.
just strings. Yeah. I would put this score in the top 5 of any movie. I mean, when I think of movie scores, obviously you think of the Star Wars, you think of Indiana Jones, The Godfather.
Mm.
This is in there 100%. It is so necessary.
Yeah, it's so good.
I wrote down here, I don't think we've reviewed a movie yet where the music plays such an integral part to the story. There's so much in it. There's anxiety, there's mystery, there's anticipation, there's fear, there's yeah, it's great. I love it. Props to Bernard Herrmann on this one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
What else did you really like about this one?
Well, of course, Anthony Perkins
Fantastic.
as Norman Bates. He is so freaking good. He is so good, especially the moments when he's kind of transformed into Mother.
Yeah.
He is so good in this movie.
He seems so harmless until he's not.
Yeah, yeah. He seems just easy to get along with, just a friendly dude.
Yeah. And Janet Leigh as well. I mean, for Janet Leigh to get an Oscar nomination when she's only on screen for, I don't know, half an hour, she's brilliant. She's brilliant in this movie.
Didn't she
And then
also
the two of them
win
are
a Golden Globe? I thought she won a Golden Globe, but maybe that's something totally different.
It's possible. If she didn't, she should have. I am a big fan of twist endings. I don't want to give much away. I know this movie's been out since 1960.
1960, yeah.
But I love twist endings, and nothing makes me happier when the twist ending gets me every time. Not as if I forget what happens, but I get so excited for that twist ending every single time. That whole scene in the fruit cellar at the end, it's just brilliant. Again, Anthony Perkins is just, he's wild.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good, man.
I briefly mentioned it, but the shots in this movie, I mean, you can really tell, I mean, cinematography wise, but Alfred Hitchcock, I mean, to get the performances he does out of those actors, plus visually, this movie is just so visually pleasing. I'm just thinking of like the shot of Marion's face on the bathroom floor. I keep coming back to. It's just haunting, man. It's so shocking. The extreme close up. And then, of course, the final scene, Anthony Perkins, that slow close up on him with the blanket. He's covered in the blanket. And that
Such
smile
an
just
epic
slightly.
shot. Yeah, such an epic shot.
It reminds me.
I like the shot when the detective's falling down the stairs.
And the camera's falling
The
in.
camera's
down.
falling. Yeah, it's so good.
It's brilliant. And
Yeah.
it's a shame because it's not something that we mention too much is camera work in movies. And we need to appreciate it more. And I'm glad that we saw this movie because it forces you to appreciate it. It is so damn good.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah. What else did you really like about this one?
Let's see what I wrote down here. The kills are all iconic, both of them, both iconic kills.
Yeah.
Acting in the movie was great. The set, I love the set.
The house, again, iconic.
I love the set. And the stairs leading up to the house.
Yeah.
And just kind of like the view you get of the house on the hill from the motel. It just looks so cool.
I love it all. That set, like you were saying, it's the best part of the backlot tour.
Yeah.
We lucked out when we went there for Halloween horror nights this year, where we actually got out to go out of the tram and walk up by the house, which was really cool.
Yeah, see, that's pretty awesome.
It was pretty fantastic. Yeah. I know that we mentioned it's maybe a bit of a slow burn.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think the performances, especially Janet Leigh, Anthony Perkins, the shower scene, the ending, it really makes up for a movie that maybe drags a little bit. I think a few of the bits with Lila and Sam maybe drag on a little bit. I was much more invested in Norman and Marion.
Yeah.
But all in all, I mean, this movie is just beyond fun. One more thing that I would like to touch on. I love the voiceover conversations that happen at the beginning of the film, especially during the scenes where Marion is driving.
She's talking to herself.
It's basically like the story unfolding without us needing to see individual scenes that could have made this movie even longer. It moves the story along. It streamlines everything. and it just keeps things going a quicker pace, which I really, really liked.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Anything you didn't like about this one? Anything else you wanted to comment on?
Well, that's the only thing I have written down as bad is like it did be drag a bit and was a little long, a little long.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Sorry, I got one more. I cannot stop talking about this movie, but going on the fact that this movie is too long, I'm going to talk about a really long scene that I absolutely love, and it's Norman cleaning up the crime scene.
Oh yes.
It is so long, it is so meticulous, and it seems a bit much,
Yeah.
but is 100% necessary. It's so choreographed.
Yeah.
He's opening every single cupboard. He's looking everywhere. But then there's a moment where it's like, it seems like he's done this before, which I loved. And I love that it happens early on in the movie. And I love just Anthony Perkins' approach to the scene, where it kind of felt like Hitchcock maybe told him, okay, you're going to go in and you're going to clean up a crime scene. What would you do? What would you do? And I love that. I love that. Okay, let's move this thing along because now I'm just babbling.
We got a game to watch, buddy. We
do. This leads us to our next segment, which is lessons we learned from watching 1960s Psycho.
Lessons we learned from watching. Insert title of movie here.
The portion of the show where we discuss the valuable life lessons we learned from watching said movie. Blairski, did you learn a single darn thing?
I learned that a boy's best friend is his mother.
That's right.
And I learned to always check your room for peepholes these days, cameras these days.
Yeah,
Anytime
100%.
you go into like a motel that's kind of off in the middle of nowhere and you're the only person there, definitely check for peepholes.
Yeah, especially if the owner of the motel insists that you take the room right next to the office.
Right beside the office, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Anything else you learned on this one? No? Okay.
No.
I got a couple here. You can't buy unhappiness with pills. If you become tired while driving, pull over to the side of the road. Just remember your rights in case you're awakened by a police officer. The first customer of the day is always the most trouble. That's a little customer service lesson. Birds eat a tremendous lot. And then finally, a hobby is supposed to pass the time, not fill it.
Yeah.
This leads us to one of our favorite segments of the show, Line of the Night.
Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night.
The segment of the show where we discuss our favorite lines from the movie. They might give us chills. They might give us the giggles. All we know is that they are our favorites. Blairski.
Yes,
you got a couple lines here?
I got two. One I literally just said, but I'll repeat it. Marion Crane asked Norman, do you go out with friends? Do you ever go out with friends? To which Norman replies, well, a boy's best friend is his mother, which I thought is a great line.
It's so
and then my last line of the night is just, I'm Norma Bates. I'm Norma Bates. He's yelling it dressed as drag.
It's so good. It is so good. I've got a couple here from Norman, and this is a line he says on 2 occasions. I believe he says, we have 12 vacancies, 12 cabins, 12 vacancies. I love that. And then he also says, mother, what is the phrase? She isn't quite herself today, which I love. It's such, just a kind of a creepy line.
Yeah.
He has a great one here, and it's kind of a little bit of a funny one. Norman says, the bed is soft and there's hangers in the closet and stationery with Bates Motel on it in case you wanted to make your friends back home envious, which I thought was great. What else? I got one more here. Norman says, hate the smell of dampness, don't you? It's such a, I don't know, creepy smell.
Yeah.
I love that. This is obviously coming from someone who knows creepy smells.
Yeah. Yeah.
This leads us to our final segment of the show. Some might say it's our absolute favorite.
I'd probably say it's up there.
Top 5 celebrity lookalike time.
Celebrity lookalike time.
The time of the show where we take a look at the cast and discuss their celebrity doppelgangers. Spoiler alert, it usually comes down to the character's hairstyle. Blairski, you got any lookalikes for Psycho?
I feel like this one's kind of obvious, but the character Marion Crane reminded me a bit of Marilyn Monroe.
Sure.
That's just with the blonde hair.
Yep.
Norman Bates reminded me of a young Leonard Nimoy.
Okay.
From Star
Spock.
Trek.
Mr.
Yeah.
Spock. Okay.
The car dealer reminded me of Herman Munster himself, Fred Gwynne.
Okay. Also, the most unpushy car salesman ever. He insists you drive the car.
Yeah, it's so good. I loved it. That's all I
Yeah.
have. That's all I have.
I've got some deep cuts here. Deputy Sheriff Al Chambers reminds me of Shemp Howard, one of the Three Stooges. It's very much the hair. And then finally, the private investigator Arbogast reminds me of Burt Young, aka Paulie Panino, Adrian's brother in the Rocky franchise.
All right.
This leads us to our final rating for 1960s Psycho. Blairski,
Yes, sir.
out of 5 refreshing showers interrupted by a string quartet, what do you give Psycho?
It is a classic movie and it's very epic. A little long for me. I'm giving it 4 refreshing showers interrupted by a string quartet out of 5.
Great review. I'm going to go a little bit higher. 4.5 refreshing showers interrupted by a string quartet out of 5. If you've seen this movie, watch it again. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Share it with your friends.
It's a good movie.
Watch this movie. It's everything we hope for and more. This was a fun one. I'm glad we watched it.
Me too, man.
It is a bit long, but the iconic moments, the fun moments definitely outweigh how long this movie is.
Everyone needs to see it.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get this out of the way so we can watch the third period, shall we?
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Until we meet again, this has been Reviews at Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair. Remember to stay scary.
And eat every sandwich. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Reviews at Scare. Make sure you check out our Linktree at linktree/reviewsatscare. That's linktr.ee/reviewsatscare, which has links to our Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, and many other things. If you'd like to email us, you can reach us at reviewsatscare@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay scary and eat every sandwich. A proud member of Pod Nation TV.